This was a heartbreaker. This was a heartbreaker. Ah, man, I'm gonna take a moment to just breathe because this was one of those games where you just kept waiting for the Pistons to like take control, and they just never did. They got close a couple times, but they were never able to regain control of the game. It was interesting because sometimes coming back home, playing in front of your home crowd can give you a lot of energy, but at the same time, sometimes it could work against you. And it kind of felt like it worked against this team, mainly because those early game jitters, uh, shooting a little bit too hard, not having the right touch on the tip in, on the tap play. Um, it seemed like the Pistons could never really get their feet under them. And then by the time that they did, they were already fighting against a deficit they were never able to fully overcome. And it was tough because, damn, even when they took the lead for that brief moment, it was like the Knicks kept having a response. And I said previously in the last live that this heliocentric offense around Jalen Brunson does not play towards the strengths of this team. This team has the second, third, and fourth, if not the fifth best player in this series. After Cade, Brunson, Towns, OG, Bridges. And then it finally gets to whoever you want to throw in as our second best player in this series. Is it Tim Hardaway Jr.? Is it Tobias Harris? Is it Jalen Duren? Is it Dennis Schroeder? I don't know if we know who our second best player is on this team. All that I do know is that when it came down to someone picking up the slack, it was hit or miss the whole game, the whole game. And it was tough, man. It was tough watching this. You know, the first game of the series, we got a strong series. I'm sorry, we got a strong game from our supporting cast, from the veteran players, from Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley. They had an incredible game one, shot the lights out of the ball, and Cade Cunningham struggled. And then in game two, it was like flip flop. We had an amazing game from Cade Cunningham, A+ game from Cade Cunningham. And then the supporting cast was kind of at a C or a B- at best. And we were able to get away with it. But I felt like we only got away with it because the Knicks were playing this weird style of basketball where it just evolved around Jalen Brunson in this kind of pissing contest with Cade Cunningham, and he came up short. And that was the reality. And then I said, in this game, expect them to come with a more team approach. Carl Anthony Towns stepped up big time. Tobias Harris, and there's some little small aspects of this that I'm going to get to in terms of strategy. But really, this was indicative of the Knicks have a better all around team. They don't have the best player, but they do have the best team. And when they play towards those strengths, they have the ability to outplay the Pistons. The Pistons essentially have to play great basketball, not good basketball, not even good enough. They have to play great basketball to win in this series. What I noticed in this game with Carl Anthony Towns is they went to him intentionally and often. You saw the first play of the game, as soon as he caught it at the top of the key and he saw any type of daylight, he shot that three. He let it known from the very beginning he was going to be aggressive. And what that did was it forced Tobias Harris. Oh, yeah, Mike. Yeah, yeah. They obviously needed Jaden Ivey tonight. But what that did was it forced Tobias Harris to have to pay that much more attention to his shooting. And what it did was it kind of put him behind the ball the whole time, the whole game, having to fly out on that 3-point shot caused him to be out of position, allowing Karl Anthony Towns to attack the rim and get past him. By the time that we made our adjustment to double when he drives to the basket, he had already gotten going. Now, at the same time, there were little moments where we would have some success, but there were also moments where the veteran know-how and savvy of the New York Knicks just kept kind of shining through and keeping them in control of this game. Being able to get to the free throw line was a big one, right? Jalen Brunson did not have it going early on until he got to the free throw line. Karl Anthony Towns was able to get to the free throw line, and that got him going as well. Then you had guys that filled in, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. They had their moments. And this was a game where, as Mike just shared in the chat, if they had Jaden Ivey, it's a very different game. Because if we had Jaden Ivey, I would say that we have the first and maybe anywhere between the second or the third best player in this series. And I think that that boost alone changes the full dynamic of this series, of this game. But we don't. But we don't. Tobias Harris got caught standing too tall against Karl Anthony Towns. You have to drop your hips. If he's going to shoot threes and make threes over the top of you, force him to do that. Uh, but you don't want to give up those drives. Um, our entire starting lineup got into foul trouble, and that was rough. That was rough. Let me get to some of these comments. Yes, Towns started very aggressive, and it paid off. Facts. Tobias was a no-show, and if he scored as usual, we would have won. Part of it has to do with the defensive scheme for the New York Knicks. If you notice, what they're doing is they're not quite doubling the post. When Cade, Tobias drives to the basket or they try to post a smaller guy, they're not doubling all the way like they were in the first two games. Definitely in the first game. What they're doing is they're hedging and they're digging. They're using their length on the perimeter with OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges to be able to reach in and make it uncomfortable for the guy posting up. And as a result, we ended up just barely missing shots or not taking the shot at all. Now, I will say Tobias Harris needed to be more aggressive. He needed to hunt his shots. Even if they were helping on him, he needed to aggressively attack his man. And when he had Jalen Brunson on him a couple times, it was like he was trying to get into his move and he kept seeing the help come, and then he would hesitate, and then he would pass it away. In that moment, he needed to drop his hips, get low, one power move, find an angle, create an angle, and go up into his shot. But he was a little bit too passive, and that played into the aggressive defensive game plan for the New York Knicks. Shout out to the Knicks for the response. That was a hell of a response in Game 3. To come into Detroit and play their game. They played their game of basketball throughout this season. This is who the Knicks have been. A full collaborative guys who are able to contribute at a high level. They may not have a bunch of A-plus superstars, but they have a couple of A-minuses and a whole lot of solid Bs who at times can be a B-plus. And that's how they played. A-minus, A-minus, B-plus, B-plus. 4 guys with 20-plus points in this game. Let me see these other comments. PJs. Our Divas was a no-show too many times tonight. Facts. Facts. But this is the thing also. When the Detroit Pistons are missing threes, it only pronounces our defensive liabilities and handicaps. If Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley are not hitting threes, they're a liability. And so when they're hitting, we're able to just stay above water, hoping that Cade Cunningham can put us well above. Well, in this game, Cade Cunningham, as someone else mentioned, wasn't as aggressive. And at the same time, he just didn't seem to have that sense of urgency. And this was something that I pointed out that was a big difference that I noticed right off the bat, is that the pace of the game slowed down. Cade Cunningham slowed down. And then when he did try to pick it up, good things happened. But it was far too few. It was far too random when he was going to push the pace versus slowly walk it up and get the ball to the high post, pass, run the dribble handoff, double back, try to get it back. It's like, bro, when you play slow, it plays into the Knicks' defensive scheme. You have to push the pace on a made basket, on a missed basket. You have to be coming downhill hard so that if your man is planted, if his feet are planted, you can make one move and go right around him. Or he sees you coming and he starts backpedaling, and that gives you the cushion to initiate offense. But when you walk it up, they can plant and they can get up into you and use that physicality and length to be able to slow you down, get into those passing lanes, get deflections, and prevent the offense from getting into its flow. You have to pick up the pace. Avery Whiteside, Beasley, and Harris tonight. Damn, I know. Bro, there was so many. I kept saying to myself, this is a make or miss league. This is 100% what they mean when they say a make or miss league. When you're making shots, when you're hitting your shots, it looks good and your team is going to have a chance to win. When you're missing shots, it looks bad because usually the other team is making shots. And this is where, I'm reminded that, okay, this is the beginning. This is the beginning for this team. This is not the middle. This is not the end. This is the beginning. And so I don't want to read too far into it. When I say this is the beginning, I recognize that Jaden Ivey is coming back next season. I recognize that his size and athleticism at that point of attack, defense, his length, his speed is going to completely change the dynamic of this offense and defense. It's going to give them an opportunity to play at a tempo and a pace that few teams are going to be able to keep up with. It's going to give them the ability to have another takeover score, which they haven't had in the past. A lot of these things keep rearing their head in this series. It would be amazing to have a number two guy, but please be patient, Pistons fans. We already have our number two. He's just injured. He's just injured. Let me get to some of these other points here. Between Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. the past two games, only Tim Hardaway Jr. was alive for a half, and that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. I was talking with a Milwaukee Bucks fan who was like, "Man, you guys are gonna get the full Malik Beasley treatment. He's somebody that is gonna light it up throughout the regular season, and then when you get to the playoffs, he's gonna struggle, and you're gonna really understand why teams are like, yeah, he's not a starter. He's not really even your top rotation guy off the bench. He's someone you're gonna bring in who can heat up, but you don't want to stake your wins and losses on him heating up. Now he's been great for us this season. Number two in the most threes made this season behind Anthony Edwards. And yet, in these playoffs, he has struggled against the length and the size of the New York Knicks. Let me see. PJ's opinion. Sorry. Leading Lions. K didn't look good tonight. That's a fact. That's a fact. He looked like he was struggling to find his rhythm. Looked like he was trying to trust his team, which was, I'm not mad at that. It's just that he was playing at too slow of a pace, far too slow of a pace. And this is why I keep saying Asar Thompson needs to run the point more. But here's the thing also. Our entire starting lineup got into foul trouble. No one had less than 4 fouls. Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren both had 5 fouls. When we get into foul trouble like that and the Knicks are getting to the free throw line and I want to say they hit like 90 something percent from the free throw line. They only missed, I think, 1 or 2 free throws the entire game. Now, we only missed about 5, but it's to say that they got to the free throw line at a high rate and were able to convert. And that makes up a large part of their offense. So when we think about when we get into foul trouble, that's also an indication of their offensive efficiency. Let me see. PJ's opinion, good points. The Knicks had good defensive schemes for sure. And Tom Thibodeau is known for his defense, which is why when we stay out of foul trouble, it really impedes the offense because Thibs is not an offensive minded coach. He's a defensive minded coach. And when they're not able to get to the free throw line, it really exposes just how simple their offensive system is. And I think a lot of it had to do with Tobias Harris was simply unable to contain Carl Anthony Towns. And if I'm honest, I think he was getting sucked in too much. I think we have to bring a rotation from someplace else other than Towns. He was able to get downhill too often. He was able to beat his man off the dribble. And look, I know Carl Anthony Towns is nimble. I'm not saying he's slow footed and should never get to the 3 point line. I'm sorry, should never get to the paint and get to the basket. But Tobias Harris should be able to contain Carl Anthony Towns on the perimeter. But he's got to do a better job of getting into a stance. He's got to close out, stay low. I know he's trying to stay tall so he can contest the shot, but then he's got to drop his hips. And then I think the adjustment that we eventually did was once he begins to drive, especially when he turns his back and then he tries to post up, we need to send help from his backside and force him into a pass, especially when it's across court and guys can get a deflection or their hand on the ball, and it can allow us to try to disrupt Towns' drives to the basket. I think too often he was able to go to the basket unimpeded. And then when he got to the rim, somebody would try to come and help, but it was really kind of like too little, too late. Uh, Avery Whiteside, I need more confidence in that three when they back off you like that. Oh, you're talking about Cade. Yeah, yeah. They backed off of Cade a few times, and I felt like Cade should have stepped into those shots and took those shots. I think he hesitated a little bit. He definitely did. Um, he was trying to find better quality shots for himself, and I'm not mad at that. But I also think he needs to take them. He needs to take them, and so both sides are true. You're trying to find a more efficient shot for your team, uh, but he just struggled overall to find his rhythm, and I think a lot of that had to do with him slowing down. When he plays at a higher pace, a higher tempo, he's able to get into his shots much easier. He catches the defense on its heels. He can create and play make for others. He's just so much more effective when he's getting downhill and putting a lot of pressure on the rim. Let me see. Team Savant. Shout out to the refs for the bad officiating. You know, yes, yes. There were times, I think at the beginning of the fourth quarter, was it? It was like three straight fouls um, that were like really soft hand check grab that's been happening the whole series. What I'm noticing is that the refs kind of swing with like a few touch calls on both ways. And it doesn't make sense because throughout the game, they're allowing so much physicality. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, touch call, touch call, touch call. And it's like, whoa, what are you doing? And it just throws everybody off. This has been a very inconsistently refereed series so far, but I'm not even going to put this one on the refs. I think that there are things that are within the Pistons' control, and let's be real. They only lost by two. They only lost by two. Malik Beasley had a horrendous shooting game. Tobias Harris had a really rough game. Everyone got into foul trouble. If you clean up the foul trouble, you knock down some shots, some of the wide open ones, even. Um, and then you increase the tempo. You maybe double a little bit earlier because the rotations looked really good, especially with Paul Reed when they were uh, uh, double teaming Cat or even Brunson on a drive. Paul Reed does a great job of moving his feet. Um, every Whiteside, they still don't have Stu yet. Yeah, facts. I don't think I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Stu's coming back. I think that knee is really hurt. I wouldn't be shocked if it's like he ends up having to have like surgery or like it's a meniscus or something like that. I hope not, knock on wood, but I would say I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked at all. The way he was limping in game two, I was like, whoa. I'm sorry, in game one, I was like, whoa, that is bad. And it's after having a full week off, that is not a good sign. If you're limping around, if you can't jump and land and move after over a week of rest from the last time you played, and he rested like we'll say the last game or so of the regular season into, or I should say through the play-in tournament and into game one, like he had significant rest. If his knee was hurting in game one, that means that that knee is a lot worse than it might appear. Let me see, get to some of these other comments here. Uh oh, Mega Hustler. Was good. The replay center being located near New York from the Brunson. Over and back, no call late in the fourth is another X factor for the Knicks. Sure, I mean, there's a lot of X factors for the Knicks. There's a lot of X factors for both teams. I think the difference is New York might be doing a better job of playing into their X factors. One of the X factors for the Detroit Pistons is Asar Thompson. They haven't figured out how to unleash him. I think too often in transition, they don't even look at him. They don't even look at him. And he's running down the court, and then they just look him off, and then he ends up just running to the corner and sitting there. I think more often than not, especially in transition, just give him and Ron Holland the ball and see if they can do something in transition. Ron Holland had a really strong game. He had a great game. He really contributed in terms of energy, getting downhill, getting to the free throw. He had 6 free throws in this game. That was a huge benefit. That was a huge boost to this team. And you saw he actually got minutes in the second half. Usually he only had minutes in the first. I really liked his size, especially on Brunson. He had good length, stayed out of foul trouble for the most part, was able to get on the ball and get to loose balls and whatnot and get out in transition. Played really well for us. I'd like to see him with more minutes as well, but it's hard to do that at this point of the season and in the playoffs. Um, he probably played right around where you want him at, 11 to 15 minutes at the most, not long enough to get exposed, but just long enough so that his energy can be infectious and he can make plays with that athleticism. But I think the X factor for the Detroit Pistons is their athleticism on the perimeter. Ron Holland and Asar Thompson need to be able to put pressure on the defense using their speed so we can create more mismatches, create more opportunities to get downhill to the rim. I think both of them did a pretty good job of getting to the free throw line. I think they both shot, I want to say 6 free throws, or I think Asar had 5 and Ron Holland had 6. But that's really good between those two. That's really good. If they can put that type of pressure on the rim, that's a huge bonus for us. But we have to use it more intentionally. And that's the thing that's tough about this team is that we're getting a different team from game to game, from game to game. We're getting a different team, and they still haven't been able to put it all together. I'll get to some of these other comments. I've noticed too a lot over the years. We lose a lot because of the other team's 3-point shooting. We get killed by other teams shooting. I mean, they had a good shooting night. They did. 4 guys over 20 plus points. That was huge. Um, and at the same time, we also shot it poorly. Malik Beasley shot really bad. Tobias Harris hardly shot at all. At least we got Jalen Duren more involved in the pick and roll and finishing around the rim, but it was just tough. It was just tough. Yeah. Oh, big stack at hand. Nick Pride, New York Knicks. The New York Knicks did what they were supposed to do. They made the adjustment. They made the adjustment. Malik Beasley was there in game one, though. You got to give him props for that. He was there in game one. But I'll say this: we can't depend upon the shooting so much that we don't have alternative options. The Pistons cannot be so focused on getting 3-point shooting that they're not also getting the other opportunities. And the Knicks, you know, the Knicks pretty much are a veteran team that I kept saying it's hard to imagine the Pistons beating in a series. Um, I thought that the Pistons were going to have a chance after game two when I saw Jalen Brunson was trying to do this heliocentric Luka Doncic version offense. And I thought, oh, well, there's no way they're going to win the series playing like that. Well, they made the adjustment. They made the adjustment. They started playing as a team. Jalen Brunson stopped trying to foul bait and flop all over the place. He had a couple moments, but at the same time, he was able to get his team involved, and that was exactly what he was supposed to do. Rough game. Our defense was missing a lot of the game. It was. It was. The Pistons perimeter containment. Um, it was poor as hell. As hell. Like the Pistons perimeter containment, especially with Karl Anthony Towns. Look, I know Karl Anthony Towns is a good offensive player, but damn, he was getting to the rack. You'd have thought it was LeBron. I mean, not quite LeBronish, but He was just getting to the rack anytime he wanted. I appreciate the like, appreciate that big task at hand. Definitely smash the like button, y'all. I appreciate all the support. And put some comments in the comment section. This is definitely an interactive chat. Tony Headhunter, my man, my main man. Rough game. Our defense was missing. Yes, facts, facts. We have to do a better job of containing Carl Anthony Towns. It's one thing to try to contain his 3-point shooting. It's another thing to close out too hard and take yourself out of position. And now you can't recover, and he's getting downhill. But even with that, I think we switched to a type of defense instead of expecting one guy to contain Carl Anthony Towns, which we had somewhat been able to do in the first two games in New York. They went to just like clear rotation. Guy just sell out, cut him off, force him into kicking out, and then we'll just recover. And we did pretty well at that. But where we struggled was too many times with inconsistent play. Guys are knocking down shots at one moment, and then in a critical moment, you're missing a wide open three in the corner. Both teams are more or less evenly matched. Sadly, if the refs call everything very tightly, Pistons will be at a disadvantage. You know, they are evenly matched except in experience. And if I'm honest, the Pistons are evenly matched because of their culture, their system, and their style of play, and they have the best player in the series. The New York Knicks have far more experience, and they also probably have the second, third, fourth, and fifth most talented player on the court. So this is a tough series. The Pistons have to play almost lights out basketball. And I wouldn't even say completely lights out, but their recipe is Cade has to be great and he has to get enough help. If Cade's not great, he has to have a lot of help for this team to have a chance. I mean, they only lost by 2 points, but this was a game where you kind of just sensed it the whole time that they just didn't have enough. And if Cade is not going to be playing lights out, they are not going to win. They're not. And a lot of that has to do with the pace of the game. The pace of the game. Let me see. What up, bro? JD needs to move his feet. Not a big fan of Tobias guarding Towns. You know what? I'll put it this way. The reason why they didn't want Duran on Towns is because of the fouls. Duran just doesn't know how to pull back. He doesn't know when to and how to assert himself, to be physical, to get up into you, and at the same time back off. He doesn't know that. Asar Thompson struggles with that too. And as a result, he gets into foul trouble. And I think JB Bickerstaff has been trying to hide him on Josh Hart, which for the most part has been beneficial. I am impressed that the Pistons have been able to finally unlock that pick and roll between Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren. And that has opened up a lot of offense for us. A lot. A lot. Let me see. Yeah, on paper and talent wise, Knicks are at a huge advantage. Facts, facts. Every white side, American football will always be football because it's American sport. All this playoff basketball is over. The game is too international now. This ain't the '90s NBA. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Avery. Let me know what you mean by that. APAP, the Knicks still have to make major improvements next year. I don't know how they're going to do that. They only won by 2. This could have gone anyway. Facts. I mean, one solid run with Cade. I don't think Cade Cunningham ever had a moment in this game. You know, let me know. Let me know in the chat. Do you remember Cade Cunningham having a moment? And when I say a moment, I mean like a string of shots where he just kind of like took over for a segment. I don't think Cade ever took over for any segment of this game. I don't think that he ever left his imprint on this game in a major way in terms of like scoring and changing the momentum. I feel like every time the Pistons or Cade began to kind of pick it up, the New York Knicks had a response. And Cade was never able to step up and really be that guy that we've been needing. Let me see. Crizzy Bass was good. Cade's turnovers at the end of game is deflating. Mike Duran looks like DeAndre Jordan. You know, damn. That's a rough comparison. I do think that Jalen Duren has more offensive skill than DeAndre Jordan ever did, but he's playing a similar style. Playing a similar style. Oh, you mean see uh, King of Judah. I was there for game 3. Damn. It was too hype. Refs were on straight BS and the Knicks were traveling like crazy. I I bet there was a lot of energy out there, man. I watched the game how I watch it on NBA League Pass. I don't get a lot of the commentating sounds. So it's just the crowd and it's the squeak of the floor and the whistle. So it's like just pure basketball. And it seemed like the fans were waiting for a moment. Like they were just waiting for a moment to really just turn it up. And they just never got that moment. There was a short segment where they got up by like 4 points, and then the Knicks came right back. The Knicks came right back. Let me see. AP. Oh, let me get to Avery first. I mean, the game being physical. Yeah, the game. I think it's returning to a more physical style. It's returning to a more physical style for sure. I feel like the NBA fans, even the novices, it's just not aesthetically pleasing to see foul baiting, and I think that they are King of Juju. Here's the fuck Brunson's chance. Yeah, no, I heard that. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. He got the whole New York Knicks treatment that they were giving to Trey Young. So I was like, I wonder how that felt. I wonder. But Brunson definitely had some minutes down the stretch where he just like determined. He was like, I'm getting to the basket. I'm getting to my shot. Um, and he did what he was supposed to do. He he knew what to do when, and that is a big advantage. I don't think Cade quite always knew what to do when. He's playing off a lot of talent and ability, but he's still figuring it out and learning. If this was like their second or third year in the playoffs, I think they would have been able to potentially be 3-0 or 2-1 right now, just as much as they're 1-2 in this series. But they just don't have the experience to necessarily always know what to do and how they can apply themselves to be able to help the team win. Um, Let me see, APAP. I'm a Knicks fan of 35 years and my team needs major work. Look, I said in a video over the summer that the Knicks were doomed. When they traded for Carl Anthony Towns, I said, that's a wrap. They went all in on a guy who can't get you there. He can't. Carl Anthony Towns is not as much as he's scoring. It looks good. He puts up good stats. He is what he is. He's not him. And when I think about how they're struggling against the Pistons, this is a close series. They won the first game by 10, which is really 6, because it was a 6-point game with less than a minute. Then they did some fouls and they got, 4 extra points. But they won the first game by 6 to 10 points. Okay. Then they lost the second game. And then they barely win the third game by 2. And you have one of the highest payrolls in the league. The Knicks have one of the highest payrolls in the league. Karl Anthony Towns is due to make, I want to say, by the end of his contract, close to $60 million. Close to $60 million. The New York Knicks are going to have a rough foreseeable future. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, yep, at the end of his contract in 27, 28, 61 million. That's what he's due. That's what he's due. Get to some of these other points here. Um, Yusuf was good, man. Possessions matter. We didn't value the ball much. I won't even blame the refs for that BS backcourt at the end of the game. The JD jump ball with Brunson, I know. The stupid throw at the end. Damn, and the cake turn. Yo, man, ugh. That jump ball, Duran, you can't slap the ball that hard, bruh. You just can't. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. You can't just smack the ball hella hard. It's Jalen Brunson at 6'2". on a good day. You're 6'10 with a 7'5 wingspan. You're going to win the jump, bro. All you have to do is tap it where you're supposed to tap it, soft enough for them to get there. You can't tap it so hard that it's flying out of bounds. And then the inbounds, I lightweight put that on JB Bickerstaff. Why do you have Jalen Duren inbounding the ball? And once you saw that he was going to be inbounding the ball over Mitchell Robinson, you should have called timeout and been like, no, no, no. But I wouldn't have even selected him in the first place. I don't even know if I would have had him in the game. I think I would have had Tobias Harris inbounding the ball and then just had Shooter, Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Cade Cunningham. That's what should have been on the court at that time in that moment. Even if Beasley was having a rough game, that should have been the lineup. Let's see. Was a whole bunch of comments. Appreciate the comments. Smash the like button as I get to these comments. Uh, game 2, Cade Cunningham got more AP. Cade Cunningham got more free throws. Did my entire team in the first half. The NBA is like the WWE. They pick winners and losers. Damn, you really think that's true, AP? I'll be honest. I know the NBA wants New York Boston. I know they want that series. They want that bad. And I think the Knicks are just good enough to get them there. Yusuf was good. Didn't even play Asar at all in the fourth when he sparked the run. Bad coaching decision as well. I keep saying that it's hard. I understand that JB Bickerstaff is struggling with how do I maintain shooting on the court to hopefully get Cade Cunningham going, while also knowing that Asar Thompson and his disruptive defense is able to create offense for us in maybe an untraditional or a kind of a unique unicorn kind of a way. He's one of those individuals, almost like a Dyson Daniels, um, where single-handedly they create offense through their defensive disruption and their ability to get steals, blocks, deflections, get out in transition, get onto a loose ball, and use their speed to get down the court and score. Asar Thompson should have been in the fourth quarter. Period. Period. Um, yeah. Team Savant was good. JB can't let the refs off the hook by making bad challenges. I keep saying that I don't know why every team does not have a guy with an iPad who is reviewing every play. Like worst case scenario, call timeout first. Let your guy look at it and then let you know, yes, challenge it. You see, King of Judah, Knicks trash for sure. I don't think the Knicks. This is not a good showing for a Knicks going up against a Boston Celtics in the next series. It's just not a good showing for them. And I think Boston's going to close it out maybe in 4 or 5 as well. Um, yeah, but it's all to say that this was a rough showing from a team that's supposed to be a contender. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't think they have the coaching, and I don't think that they have the depth, which is I think is due to the coaching. Um, yeah, if this ends up being a 6 or 7 game series and then they get swept by the Boston Celtics, I expect to see Tom Thibodeau fired. I expect to see him fired. Tony Headhunter, I think if Stewart was in, this series would be different. I do too. I do too. One, he has 3-point shooting, which is huge. He's a little bit more skilled on the interior in terms of finishing and pick and roll. He's a better closer for us. We can close with him having better defense, shot blocking, and 3-point shooting while not giving up rebounding. And I think that difference alone reshapes our defense and our opportunities to get out in transition. When he's blocking shots, we're able to get out into transition extremely well. And he also prevents guys from even challenging at the rim. Definitely feel you on Isaiah Stewart's importance. Um, APAP, I definitely going to hit the Philadelphia channel tonight. They were talking tonight. Okay, that's what's up. Sports Times. It's not fair how they ref Asar at all. He gets called for everything. That is not a foul. Yeah, facts. I hate the difference in how they ref him versus how physical they're able to be in Rockets Warriors series. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I think the difference with the Detroit Pistons is that Asar is the one elite perimeter defender. In Houston, they got 4 or 5 of those guys. Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson. They've got Tari Eason, and then they have who's the other one? They got Jabari Smith Jr. They're able to play extremely physical. So it's not just one guy that they're focused on. And if there's a switch, you still have another physical defender that's on a guy. It's not just one. And so Asar gets like hyper focused on. But one thing that I think the NBA's got to take a look at is you can't allow the offensive player the advantage of being able to reach out and grab the offhand of the defender. Like, because Jalen Brunson's ability to do that is what is impeding defenders from even being in position in the first place. He grabs and he tries to tuck their hand into him so he can get a foul call, essentially foul baiting. And so now he's doing that as the defender is trying to move his feet. It gives him an advantage. I was surprised Reed was taken out in the midst of a mini run. I was shocked about that as well, Mike. Paul Reed was playing extremely well. They were able to rotate well on defense, but I also get it that Jalen Duren, he's your guy. He's your guy. Paul Reed is going to be an unrestricted free agent this summer. You got to give Duren those minutes, especially when he was playing well. He was playing well in that fourth quarter, getting to into the pick and roll. Tony Headhunter, that killed us. Jump ball, throw in last play of the game. These are hard lessons. These are some hard ass lessons for Jalen Duren. Incredibly hard lessons. These are those like, damn, you wish you could get it back. I hope he doesn't shrink from this moment. I hope he steps up, plays even better in game 4. I would not be shocked. In fact, I would expect the Pistons to win game 4. It's a must win for them. And I think they will have adjusted and acclimated all the more playing at home with that extra added energy. And I think they have more wrinkles of how to adjust. This has been a series of adjustments from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. I'm looking forward to seeing what JB Bickerstaff does in his adjustment from game 3 to game 4. I'm actually glad there's less time in between. That's actually going to give the Pistons an opportunity to really bounce back quickly. Sports Times, I think he had 4 fouls, should have had 2, maybe. Yeah, Asar Thompson got called for 4 fouls, and there were a few of them where it was just good D on his part, and Brunson was just he flopped. He flopped. The one where he drives left down the middle, trying to get to the rim on Asar Thompson. Asar is moving his feet, and then Brunson tries to turn the corner, but instead of actually turning the corner, he ends up just falling over, and the ref gives him that foul and bails him out. It was a rough call. Rough call. AP, I prefer the Julius Randle Dante team over this one. I do too. I do too. I think it was better. I think it had more depth, more chemistry, had more firepower. Um, and I'd rather have Randall over Carl Anthony Towns. I just would. They could have grabbed themselves a big man. If they needed another center, they could have grabbed another center out of the G League, like the dude that they got. What's his name? Ariel Hukporti. I think he's like 6'11". Yeah, he's 7 feet tall. Good athlete, 245 pounds. Out of Germany. Shout out to Germany. Um, Left-handed brother. I think he could have done a defensive job for them. And you look at some of these teams, and this is something even just point out. The G League is becoming utilized more and more. Shout out to the Pistons. They got their G League guys that are going to step up next year as their essential first round draft picks. They got Bobby Klintman. They've got Tolum Smith, who's another 6'10", 6'11" guy. I heard he grew, so he might be closer to 7 feet right now. But having those guys in the G League that can come in and step up instead of having to do these massive trades and going all in for Carl Anthony Towns, I think they could have went to the G League. You look at Hukporti that the Knicks eventually picked up. You look at the 7-foot center for the Golden State Warriors. What's his name? Sorry, I'm trying to make a point here about something. Golden State Warriors. What's his name? Quentin Post. Quentin Post. Then you look at the 7-footer that the Memphis Grizzlies were able to pick up. Uh, his name is Jay Huff. All these guys are like 23, 24, 25, 26. Young guys in their prime. They've got more seasoning from the G League. They can come in and fill in a role. I think it's better to go get somebody who can fill in a role rather than having to deal with overpaying for somebody just because you need that role. And now you're just locked in because nobody's trading for Karl Anthony Towns. And you're going to be paying him more than Jalen Brunson and OG Ananobi. And you still got to re-sign Mikal Bridges. And you're just strapped right now. So I don't know where the Knicks go from here. They're barely getting through this first round series in a close series. Uh, it's just a bad sign for their future. Get to some more of these comments. Smash the like button for me if you haven't already. Chiefy Holiday didn't like Cade's aggression level tonight. I didn't either. Tobias was a no short. Beasley off right now. Cade got to attack. I said that from the beginning, man. Cade Cunningham has to get downhill, and he does that when he picks up the tempo of the game. He's got to run even on made baskets. He can't walk the ball up the court. When he walks the ball up the court and slows down, it plays into OG Ananobi and Mikal Bridges' hand. It completely does. And when he's coming down, at least at a half jog trot, right? When he's coming down at a solid run, even if he's not sprinting down the court, if he's running down the court, he forces that defender to choose. Either they're going to stay planted and hope he doesn't try to make a move around him, or they're going to start backpedaling and give Cade space. Either way, it gives Cade an advantage. But when he walks it up, they get to play aggressively and they get to use their strength and get up into him, and that slows down the entire offense. Pace is probably the key for the Detroit Pistons turning things around in game 4. See, AP, hell yeah. NBA's funny money Knicks, despite being bad for 2 decades, haven't gotten the number 1 pick since 1985. I mean, the Knicks are just ran by a terrible owner. I'll be honest with you, man. He's just a bad owner, man. He's a bad owner. He doesn't know how to he doesn't understand the concept of stability. He gets involved too much. He's got too much drama going on. He's got all the cameras in the stadium tracking everybody. He's getting into it with Charles Oakley. It's like, what are you doing, bro? What are you doing? Sit down. Sit down. Go sit in your box seat, man. You're making all this money, but I miss the problem. It's like America has an infatuation with rich people, and so rich people see themselves in the way that they're presented in media, and so they think that they're above everything, and they don't recognize that they're their own stumbling block. And so the New York Knicks, if they ever sold that team, if Dolan ever sold that team to people who are just smart businessmen who say, "Oh, let me hire smart basketball people and let them do things," the Knicks would have been back in the finals. They would have been back in the finals and consistently good like the Yankees. Let me get a sip of water real quick. uh, mm, AP, yeah, I think they want the Lakers and the Celtics in the finals, but it's not going to happen though. I don't think the Lakers have figured it out yet. They haven't figured it out, and they're missing some key components. Interior defense. They need a big man. Um, I like the Luca LeBron James pairing. Uh, I'll never say LeBron can't get to the finals, but it's going to be a hard road. It's going to be a really hard road. Um, Let me see, Yusuf. I'm genuinely mad. I can feel it. Anyways, the game plan going forward for me is to let Brunson get off. Cade can match him. Contain Cat and company. That's the problem. Brunson has to uh, shoot a ton versus us to get his game off. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. That sounds good, but I don't think the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks need Jalen Brunson to be their number 1 scorer. In fact, I think the Knicks are better when he's not the number 1 scorer. If he happens to be the number 1 scorer because he's knocking down his shots and he's in a rhythm and he's killing, sure, they'll take it. But they need to get Karl Anthony Towns involved every single game. He has to be the number 1 scorer because that's his really his own only contribution. If he's not the leading scorer, if he's not having a dominant offensive game, he can be a liability or he can be a complete no-show like he was in game 2 in the second half. Um, I think what the Detroit Pistons have to do is a better job of rotating off the ball into those traps, especially with Karl Anthony Towns, force him to make great passes, continue to meet them at the rim, but they have to get out of foul trouble, and that means just don't commit the dumb fouls. Don't commit the dumb fouls. I think that also the Pistons need to put more pressure on the rim out in transition. They need to get the ball out to Asar Thompson and Ron Holland. See, Detroit can retool this offseason. I don't think they need to retool, Chrissy. I don't think they need to retool at all, Chrissy. I think when Jaden Ivey comes back, he's going to be averaging about 25 points a game. I think when Jaden Ivey comes back, he's not only going to be averaging about 20 to 25 points a game, he's probably going to average about 5 rebounds and 5 assists. And he's going to take over games. There's going to be times where he's the best player on the court. Jaden Ivey already showed that hitting 2 game winners against the Kings and the Raptors this season. And when he got hurt, at the time he got hurt, he was already looking like one of the best players on the team. If not at times the best person on the court. Even if Cade is our guy, Ivy is right there. So I don't think they need to retool at all. I think they're going to bring back the squad, the free agents. I don't think they're going to overpay, and they should not overpay. They should not overpay at all for Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. Even Dennis Schroeder. I say, if you can get a veteran who could come in there and do what those guys are doing on the cheap, do that. Go get you a minimum deal veteran, sign you someone else. But at the end of the day, you have your core. Ron Holland's going to be better. Ivy's going to be better. Asar is going to be better now that he's not battling the blood clots and you can have a full offseason of development. Duran will be better. Cade will be better. Remember, this is the worst this team is ever going to be. This is the worst the Pistons are ever going to be. And this is why, in contrast to that, you look at the New York Knicks. This is the best they'll ever be. This is the best the Knicks are going to be. They're only going to get older. They got more wear and tear. Tom Thibodeau plays them too many minutes. It's only a matter of time. AP, Leon Rose badly misread the offseason. I think Tibbs has to be replaced. I do too. I think they need a system. That team is perfect. Perfect for a coach who can come in and install a strong offensive system. I actually wouldn't be shocked if they went with somebody like what's his name who just got fired in Phoenix, Budenholzer. Budenholzer, I think he would be solid there. Um, yeah, I think Budenholzer might be actually a strong option for them because Budenholzer has the ability to install his offensive system that I think this Villanova Knicks would run to perfection. Jalen Brunson would run that offense to perfection. They'd be swinging the ball around, knocking down shots. He has the pieces. It's his type of a roster. And they still have the defensive pedigree between Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Deuce McBride. They're going to be able to defend at a high level. They just need a better offensive system to get easier looks. Let's see, Deuce McBride, is he? Yeah, he's locked up under contract too. So yeah, I think that would be a great pickup for them. Get to a few more of these comments before I hop off. I appreciate everybody jumping on with me uh, after this game. Before I go, would you rather have Zion or Booker this offseason? Neither. 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 King of Judah, please, please. No, we don't want either of those two. Either of them. Devin Booker is not him, and he plays too much like Cade. They need something that's a better match. And why would you overpay? Why would you pay Booker? Let me see right here. Devin Booker is getting paid 51, sorry, 49 million, 53 million next year, 57 the year after that, 61 the year after that. Jaden Ivey is about to get re-signed for about anywhere between 20 to maybe 29 million over the next 5 years. And he's going to be putting up Devin Booker numbers. He's got elite athleticism. He's young. He's Detroit through and through. Why not just stick with that and save the salary cap? And then when it comes to Zion, why? Why would you want Zion? Why would you want Zion? I'm going to a few more of these. Sorry if I didn't get to all of them. Y'all was really jumping on tonight. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the likes as well. Uh, you see, JB will have them ready. Great learning lesson for this team. I do too. I think so too. NBA needs to revisit the rules on foul baiting before next season. I do too. Tom Thibodeau has all the young talent on the bench. He will not play them. Facts. He should have been playing Kolek. Uh, he should have been playing Precious Achua. Um, this should be a deep team. This should be a deep team. He just doesn't have the offensive mindset for it. Yeah, Philadelphia is the rival city. For the Knicks? I don't think so. Boston is the rival city for the Knicks. That's the rival city. AP, good channel. Hit those likes. I appreciate that, AP. All Leon had to do was replace Isaiah Hartenstein. Yep. He got the entire roster to get Towns over here and trades 5 picks for Mikal Bridges. I think James Dolan is going to order Leon to fire Tom. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked. That would be a major. If they get swept by the Celtics, I can see it. I can see it. Even gentlemen swept. They got to get to at least 7 games, if not beat the Celtics, for Tom Thibodeau to keep his job. They got to replace Tom. Problem for us that Tom Thibodeau. That's the problem for us. Leon can get him all the guys he wants if the coach doesn't play them. Yep, and that's the same reason why the coach got fired in Sacramento. No, not Sacramento. Denver. Denver. Ooh, he might be a coaching option for the Knicks. There's gonna be a coaching carousel for sure this offseason. The Knicks might want to get in on it. Um, yeah, he's a good coach too, but when you're not linked up with your GM and you're struggling, and it's a clear issue of you're not finding a way to use the talent, and they're bringing it because here's the thing: you have a salary cap. You got to pay the core guys, and you have to supplement it with either draft picks, young guys, or veterans on minimum deals. And when you bring in the talent, you see you got the talent, but your coach just won't develop it and use it, bro. It's on the coach. It's on the coach. If you're not gonna develop them, coach, you better be winning. You better be winning. Let me see. He still thinks it's 1999. Yeah, he does. Chiefy Holiday was good, bro. I can't lie, bro. King of Judah. I'm with the Booker or Zion move. Leave this team. Oh, love this team, but I jump out the window on these moves. Yeah, you would. And then you're gonna jump out the window when Zion gets hurt again, and it tanks your season. And you realize you're capped at 40 wins with Cade, and you're wasting his best years with the injured co-star. Um, and then Booker plays too much like Cade. You're just replicating the same thing. He's gonna end up with the same results like in Phoenix, subpar years. Uh, and you're not gonna be able to re-sign Durant, maybe even Asar. To go for one of those two guys, you're gonna be gutting this team in terms of their salary cap flexibility to keep this core together. I would not do it. Man, it would be nice to have Stewart out there. It would. He is a game changer. I think Tony Headhunter said that earlier. AP Charles Oakley was 7 years ago. Nobody cares about it anymore. Even Patrick Ewing doesn't get along with Charles Oakley anymore. It's just a bad look, though. AP. It's just a bad look. It's a bad look through and through. Sports Times. I hate that they hardly pass the ball on the floor in transition when defenders are trailing, so we can get easy looks at the rim. It's always the vets too. Facts, facts. They do not give the ball up in transition, and they need to give it up to Asar and Holland. I'm trying to grab a few more of these comments. Chiefy, true, I see no lies. Nas Reed, maybe we got to add something. If you can add Zion to keep the core, I don't know. Maybe cost you Ron. It'll cost a lot more than Ron Holland to get Zion. But here's the thing: those a guy like Zion reshapes your entire offense. But because he is not reliable to be healthy, he leaves you high and dry the moment he gets hurt. And you don't want that type of you don't want to be stuck in that cycle over year after year, the same way New Orleans is, right? Where every year you don't know if you're getting Zion and you're a contender, or you don't have Zion and you're potentially a playoff team. And then if you lose the other guy, then now you're a lottery team. And it's literally it's like it doesn't matter how good your coach is, doesn't matter how good your roster is. You lose one of those two guys, it completely changes the direction of your season. I would not do either of those moves. Um, AP, I'm here to tell you guys, I see Brunson every day. He is good as advertised. He's really a franchise player with the heaviest jersey in the league. Um, Towns and Bridges is another story. Look, Brunson is good. I think he's at his best when he's a floor general, not when he's trying to be Allen Iverson and drop 40 on you. I'm not saying he can't drop 40 on you. I'm saying he's at his best when he is running things and he's being a leader, not trying to be purely an offensive weapon. Tonight, he was a leader. He led this team to a victory, hit the shots at the right moment, and really made sure everybody was getting off. Four guys with 20 plus points. Brunson did his thing. Uh, See, Chief Holiday, I agree though. Open chat. The best is on YouTube. Keep it going. I appreciate it, bro. AP, my Knicks need to bring back Johnny Bryant. They probably do. We got a nice point guard on the bench, Tyler Cole. Man, he's nice, but Thibs ain't gonna play him. He's not. That's what I'm saying. I would love for the Knicks to get um, what's his name? From the Bucks and the Phoenix Suns. Um, what's his name? I just said his name. I forgot his name. But the coach who just got fired there. I think he has a great offensive system. And the reason why it struggled in Phoenix is because they didn't have the point guard play. With Jalen Brunson, I think he would run that to perfection, and he could get them back into real playoff contention. And he would use the depth more too. Here as a visitor, but this is a good show. I enjoy. I appreciate it. AP, Philadelphia and Boston. Okay, Tony Headhunter. Reason we were winning. We stayed healthy. No Zion. Facts. Facts. Healthy teams win. Period. Period. Mike Malone is from New York. His father was with us for years. Oh, I wouldn't be shocked. That connection is real. But hey, y'all, it's a little bit over an hour. I usually don't go this long, but I appreciate everyone's involvement in the chat, in this conversation, in this discussion. This has been dope. The Knicks and the Pistons continue game 4. I believe it's on Saturday. It should be a good one. I'll be on probably before or after, somewhere around there. And let's run it back and do it again. Let's see what happens. Get at y'all next time. Peace.